Welcome back to this free online training on overcoming procrastination. This is video number 2 after exploring why do we procrastinate and giving a little bit of an introduction. Today we are going over powerful ways to overcome procrastination. That's probably why some of you might have come, but part 1 is super important and I already give you something in it. So if you haven't watched part 1, just go back, go see that first. It will really be super helpful and it will also help you get the most out of this second part. So, powerful ways to overcome procrastination. So first off, let's take a step back and observe like someone procrastinating. Let's look at someone, an adult, who is procrastinating. And just observe, and without judgment, doesn't it look like a childish behavior? Again, there is no judgment here. I did that, everybody does that. But procrastination is fundamentally a childish behavior. So let's unpack that before you exit this video, or you will understand what I mean. Children depend on their parents to take care of them. That's how it is. That's how things are. And it's actually part of their psychology because they are pretty much helpless. When a human baby is born, it's absolutely helpless. It's actually quite unique in the animal kingdom compared to our animal friends, right? But adults actually still have the same psychological mechanism. We do have it. We have the same psychology. Because the thing is, there is no clear-cut transition between child and adult, psychologically speaking. Meaning our inner child is still there in our brain, in our psychology. And sometimes it runs the show. And part of running the show is procrastinating because it expects parents to deal with it, right? And so that's one really helpful lens to see procrastination through, as you want to consider and meet your own needs. You need to parent yourself. The child inside of you might feel neglected, and when it feels neglected, it will scream, and screaming might look like procrastination. Basically, it's like you are forced to have a childish behavior because you're not parenting yourself. And again, there is absolutely no judgment here. I did that as well. But so the solution is just to consider and to meet all your needs. So you want to parent yourself. You want to become the parent you never had or you wish you had. All of us have had needs that were neglected. And so that's the first tool of this video already, is whenever you feel like everything requires effort, whenever you feel a bit sluggish, when you feel the urge to procrastinate, it's really powerful to ask yourself, which of my needs isn't being met right now? Which of my needs isn't being met right now? And common needs that aren't being met in those days are deep rest. And when I say rest, I mean actual rest. I don't mean hanging out on the phone. It's not restful. I mean lying down and doing nothing, napping, sleeping. Another big need is spending time alone, doing nothing, just alone. Go outside, sit somewhere and do nothing. Be with yourself. And for many people it's actually difficult, but it's a sign that there is something going on. It's not normal. We should enjoy being with ourselves. We should love it. Another need is to just play. That's a very childish thing to do, but we need to play. We need to. Otherwise, life just becomes a bit more gray, and we just feel less happy and fulfilled. At the same time, even though it's important to spend time alone, it's also important to spend time with people who uplift us. And so, to not spend time with people who drain us. Singing, dancing, it goes with maybe playing, spending time in nature, kind of refer to that. All those things are needs, and we have to honor them. And I can guarantee you that when your cup is full, then when all your needs are met, you're ready to go. You're ready to tackle those tasks. Why? Because you're not neglected. You put yourself first, because guess what? You are the most important person in your life. The most important relationship in your life is yourself, with yourself. And you are the only person responsible for your happiness, your health, and so on, your rest. And so the better you can parent yourself, the more you kind of reclaim your power to create the life you want. And it starts with acknowledging and honoring the child inside of you. Because again, we all have it. So you might be thinking, between understanding the psychology, the conscious, the subconscious, breathing every once in a while, I'm referring to the previous video, and now tending to all my needs, it feels like a lot of work. And it feels like a lot of work for overcoming procrastination, which can sound a bit ironic. It can be true, but I hope that taking care of yourself is not considered work and it's a joy. If it's a chore to take care of yourself, you might have more deeper self-sabotage issues going on, which would need to be unpacked, but that's not the topic of this presentation. But you might either way feel that's a lot. And to that I would acknowledge you, yeah, it can sound like a lot. But would you be interested to turn procrastination into the exception and not the rule? That's what I mean. Making it something that's rare and not common. When we successfully manage to do that, long term, it makes reaching our goals more effortless. Right? It makes sense. If I don't procrastinate, reaching my goals there is less effort, there is less struggle. Right? And so we do so by changing the reference point of the subconscious. And so how do we do that? First, we need to understand that it is possible to leverage the fear of judgment to our advantage. So this powerful fear of judgment, with all those psychological mechanisms to fit in with our tribe, can be leveraged to our advantage. So that's kind of the second point. This will make the urge to fit in a lie. But first we need to understand how this subconscious mechanism works. And then we can shift the reference point that our mind uses. Right? So it will get clear in just a few slides, so bear with me. First off, every situation you're in is analyzed by your subconscious. And it's way more information that you are consciously processing. Way more. And when I say every situation, it's people, it's places, it's things, but also your thoughts and what's happening on screens. Right? So it's not just kind of real life, it's also mental life and digital life. So why bother? Why is this it sounds like it's a lot of effort to register everything that's happening and analyzing it. So why bother? Again, it's a matter of survival. You have to be aware of your environment to adapt. Think about what happens when you miss a step. If your subconscious was not paying attention, you just fall. But instead, you miss a step, it's being analyzed super quick, and just you shift your stance and you raise your arms, and you stay balanced, hopefully, right? And what you have to realize is that you are always in a tribe, even if you live alone. And how does your subconscious know who is your tribe? Imagine that you were back in caveman days. Your people, your tribe, would simply be around you. So you would see them every day. You would hear them every day. You would potentially think about them because it's everybody you know, right? Just like you potentially think about some of the people you know today. And in a nutshell, your tribe would be part of your environment, right? And your part being tribe of your environment sets the reference point your mind uses to urge you to fit in. In other words, you try to fit in based on this reference point that your mind has, and this reference point is set by your environment, your tribe. And so that's the kind of the bold text here. Your environment determines the tribe you subconsciously think you're in. Therefore, your environment determines what you think, say, or do in order to fit in, by leveraging those subconscious mechanisms that we've been talking about. And I already said it, but I will repeat, and it will be even more relevant in the next video. Your mind does not make the difference between real life, digital life, and imagination. Meaning, our tribe could be what we see on screens, if it's all that we see, or if it's what we see most. And if we think certain things or think about certain people, if some people occupy a bigger part of our mind, then they are a bigger part of our tribe. And so, how to leverage that mechanism, and that's the second tool of this presentation, is basically you get a new tribe. You reset the reference point of your mind. So how do you do that? You consciously curate a successful environment and choose a new tribe. You look for people who are doing what you want to do more of. Right? I hope that makes sense. Like, if you want to be great at tennis, it makes sense to hang out with people who are good at tennis, to watch people who are great at tennis, to listen to people who are great at tennis. You want to hang out more with friends who accomplish goals. Your friends might not do exactly what you want to do, but at least you don't want to hang out with people who procrastinate a ton, right? Otherwise, your reference point would be, I am in a tribe who tends to procrastinate. So in order to fit in, I need to procrastinate too, right? So that's not helpful. So hang out more with friends who are inspiring, who are accomplishing goals, who are driven. When it comes to online content, seek material that's inspiring or helpful or related to your goals, right? And conversely, eliminate what's not that as much as possible. So you remove what's draining you and you add what's inspiring you. And even like thinking about that, I hope you realize that, oh yeah, like it would really be helpful. It's like I would be almost on autopilot, like achieving my goals without even trying, because everybody around me is like inspiring and uplifting and so on. That's the whole point. So for example, if your tribe right now is a bunch of driven entrepreneurs, you are less likely to sit on the couch and watch a show, because this would be the behavior that stands out. You would not fit in. And so by consciously changing your environment, you make your subconscious work for you, right? So that's tool number two. And so that was the powerful ways to overcome procrastination.